Okay, this is a good question. If the school calls you and starts off the meeting with this phone call is being recorded, and you request a copy of the recording and they don't comply, what do you do? Okay, that's a FERPA thing, which of course intersects with IDEA. I mean, specifically because there's aspects within IDEA which sort of redundantly point out your rights to your child's educational records. Now, would a recording of your meetings be considered um, education records? Absolutely. And so, what you need to do is you need to make the request in writing to the whatever administration, make it to the special education director, and just put in there that on this particular date you were informed that the school was recording your meeting and that you have made a request, and if you made your request verbally, then put that in your email. If you made it in writing, also cite that date that you made your initial request, but make the request again, citing FERPA, FERPA, and also IDEA, and that you're entitled to your copy of your, or to review and inspect. That's the proper terminology. To review and inspect your child's educational record, which would include these recordings, if those recordings are personally identifiable to your child. And this, obviously, this meeting would be personally identifiable to your child. And say, if you're looking for everything, then if you're looking for all documents, then that's fine. But you can sit there and say, look, for the sake of this, whatever this request, you're only looking for X, Y, and Z documentation or video or audio, and send it to them, and they have 45 days to hand it over. At the same time, they're supposed to, if you're, the 45 days is really there if you fit into this other rare capacity, and that is if you live at such a distance to where coming in and reviewing and inspecting your child's educational records is deemed inaccessible or difficult. Then at that point, that's where they sort of have that 45 days. Other than that, guys, they're supposed to have your child's records and have it available for you to review and inspect a lot sooner than 45 days. So at that point, because the correct and accurate terminology would be to that you have a right to review and inspect, doesn't necessarily mean that you get a free copy. Um, Review, I mean, it just sort of depends on how the schools um, interpret that. And there are enough, there's enough, most schools, I can tell you this, most schools will just provide you a copy of your child's records. Some will even try to charge you, but they can't charge you if it's going to cause a financial hardship on your family. But if they do charge you, it has to be a very, very nominal amount. Nominal amount. That means a small amount, very small amount. But on the whole, the technical term is to review and inspect, which means that you physically go there. You physically have access to your child's file. And I have a couple school systems that play those games with me now, to where they'll give me a copy, but they won't give me a copy until 5 days before the due process hearing. Well, I need the records way before then. So what they end up doing is I have to go in there physically, sit down. Somebody's watching me as I'm reviewing the child's full education record, and then I even had one that just wanted me to put post-its on the pages that I wanted copied, and then they would send me a copy as though I uh, somehow walked out of there with the 200 post-it note memory of all the post-it notes that I put on there. No, no. So what I ended up having to do when they did that is I had to go out and buy myself a little scanner, portable scanner, and I just went right back and I continued the review and inspection, and everything that I had put the sticky notes in, I just went back and I just had to sit there and scan everything myself and make myself a copy. Now they about had a conniption fit, and then called the board attorney. Oh my God, he's in here making copies. Well, reviewing and inspecting, there's nothing wrong with me making myself a copy of these records for which the parent gave me consent to acquire on their behalf. So there was nothing wrong with that. But sometimes they will play these games with you. But by the technical language within FERPA, it is review and inspect, which means you would need to be there. This should bypass the amount of time and the delay associated with that. And at that point, you know, you if they say, well, we'll let you listen to it, fine, bring something so you can record it. Okay, it's not that difficult. So while you're listening to it, have a little audio recorder there with you, or have your phone recording. But just make sure that whatever app you have on your phone, usually those things time limit like 5 minutes or whatever. So just make sure that you have a capacity to be able to make a full recording of that meeting. Now, if they don't provide it, then, God, I tell you what, there's not a lot of punishment with FERPA. I mean, you can file a complaint with the feds, and it would also sort of depend on how much it impacted or negatively impacted your child's free and appropriate public education, on whether you could use the avenue of your child's IDEA rights to sit there and press for them to comply. But other than that, I mean, if they don't, and let's say you've given them 50 days or 60 days, at that point, I'd go to Office of Civil Rights. I would also look up, I did a prior video, but I don't want to misspeak. I did a prior video probably last fall about FERPA and what the mechanism is. And I think I even had a document on what you would need to do to compel on FERPA violations. But that's where I would go from there, okay? If they still don't comply. Not what I love about governmental rules, stupid governmental rules, and this is one of those, to where HIPAA has serious consequences, on let's say the medical field and the professionals that work in those fields. And I'm talking serious consequences. FERPA, it's supposed to be an equivalent to protect your child's education records and provide you the right to copies of them. And it's a paper tiger. It's nonsense. And so some schools have figured that out. And so therefore they just game you. They don't care. Disgusting people that do that.